In today's lesson, we're going to look at three major topics in child protection and school safety: child abduction investigations, sex offender registration and notification, and the FBI's threat assessment model for preventing violence in schools. These concepts are essential for anyone entering criminal justice or child advocacy work, and they illustrate just how complex and critical these investigations can be. When a child is reported missing, time is everything. One of the very first steps investigators take is interviewing the parents. But this isn't as simple as it sounds. Parents must be interviewed separately, from each other and from other relatives or reporting parties. This allows investigators to identify discrepancies, gather accurate timelines, and reduce the chance that information is influenced by emotion or wishful thinking. At the same time, investigators have to balance objectivity with empathy. In many cases, parents are in extreme emotional distress, and maintaining rapport can be key to gathering accurate information. Next, officers focus on understanding the child themselves. This process, called victimology, helps investigators determine whether the disappearance fits the child's normal routines or might signal foul play. In victimology, investigators build a detailed timeline of the child's last known activities, explore the child's habits, hobbies, and interests, identify their usual comfort zone, where they normally go and where they would not, look for changes in behavior, stressors, or unusual events. Interview friends, family, teachers, and others who know the child well. All of this helps determine whether the child likely ran away, wandered off, or was abducted. Experts have identified different abduction patterns depending on the child's age and the offender. For example, newborn and infant abductions, children under 1 year old, often occur for reasons very different from traditional kidnapping motives like ransom or revenge. These cases may be driven by emotional or psychological factors, such as an offender pretending to have given birth. Understanding these patterns helps investigators predict offender behavior and respond quickly. When an abduction is suspected, agencies follow a rapid response checklist. Issue a BOLO alert to law enforcement. Activate the Amber Alert system when criteria are met. Contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to distribute the child's photo nationwide. Notify or request assistance from the FBI's Child Abduction and Serial Murder Investigative Resource Center, CASMERC, especially when a predatory abduction is suspected. Amber Alerts are a partnership among law enforcement, transportation officials, and media broadcasters. Using the emergency alert system, detailed bulletins about the child, the suspect, and any suspect vehicle are quickly released to the public. Law enforcement must verify that the case meets the strict criteria for activation, ensuring the system remains credible and effective. While many missing children are runaways, studies show that most cannot remain away from home longer than 2 weeks, which influences how investigators assess risk and urgency. Megan's Law requires states to make certain information public for community safety. Today, most states use 2 notification methods. Passive notification, where citizens can request information from law enforcement. Active notification, where officials proactively alert schools, child care centers, landlords, and others when a registered offender may pose a risk. These systems help law enforcement track offenders and help communities stay informed and vigilant. The FBI's National Center for the Analysis of Violent Crime conducted a major study of school shootings to develop a threat assessment model, a tool designed to identify and intervene before violence occurs. Two key ideas drive this model. 1. Not all threats are equal. Many threats are never intended to be carried out. 2. Violence is a process, not a sudden act. There are warning signs and behavioral markers along the way. Specific details, intense emotional content, and recent stressors all help evaluators determine how seriously to take a threat. Investigators also consider a range of personality traits that can increase risk, including depression, alienation, fascination with violence, low resilience, and an exaggerated sense of entitlement. Threats fall into 4 categories. Direct threats clearly identify a target and action. Indirect threats are vague or ambiguous. Veiled threats imply harm without stating it openly. Conditional threats demand something and promise harm if demands aren't met. Understanding the type helps investigators determine credibility and urgency. Threats are categorized as low, medium, or high risk. Low-level threats typically don't require a criminal investigation. Medium-level threats usually prompt law enforcement involvement to gather more information. High-level threats require immediate law enforcement response. When investigating, officers ask precise questions. Who made the threat? To whom? Under what circumstances? Exactly what was said? How often? Some agencies use rapid response deployment, training patrol officers to handle active violence incidents quickly. In addition, home searches, with consent or a warrant, can uncover weapons or plans. These searches are conducted only by law enforcement, and their use is not publicized to preserve tactical advantage. Understanding child abduction procedures, sex offender registration laws, and school threat assessment gives you a clearer picture of how law enforcement protects children and communities. These processes are detailed and demanding, but they save lives, and your knowledge of them will serve you well in the criminal justice field. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Oh, Professor Reese asks that you remember Assignment 12 covers Chapter 22.